Right now, a tropical low is spinning in the Coral Sea, a massive rain bomb is locking onto southeast Queensland, and the remnants of ex-tropical cyclone Mitchell just slammed Western Australia with 100-kilometre-per-hour wind gusts. If you live anywhere in Australia, the next 7 days could dramatically change what is happening outside your window. And here is the thing most people do not realise. The biggest flood risk this weekend is not coming from that tropical system. It is coming from something far more unpredictable. I will reveal exactly what that is at the 5-minute mark, and trust me, it is the one detail that could save you from being caught off guard. But first, let me ask you this. When was the last time Brisbane saw triple-figure rainfall in a single weekend? Because that is exactly what the models are now locking in. 100 millimetres or more between Friday and Monday, and Brisbane is not even the hardest hit area. Some locations along the Gold Coast and the border ranges could see double that, 200 millimetres in just 3 days. Drop a comment right now with the city or town where you are located, and I will make sure to cover your area in the next update. Seriously, I read every single comment, and your location helps me prioritise the forecast for the places that matter most to you. Now, here is your roadmap for this update. I'm covering Queensland first because that is where the action is most intense. Then I am moving to New South Wales, where a sneaky, severe thunderstorm threat is developing for Thursday that most people have not heard about yet. Then Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, and finally Western Australia, where ex-Cyclone Mitchell has left a trail of rainfall that is still unfolding right now. Do not skip the Western Australia section because there is a bombshell about what is coming at the end of February that you need to hear. Let us get straight into it. Southeast Queensland. This is the headline story, and here is the timeline you need to lock into your memory. Today, Tuesday, the 10th of February. Conditions are relatively calm across southeast Queensland. A few scattered showers drifted through the region this morning, mostly around the Darling Downs, dropping 5 to 10 millimetres. Nothing dramatic. Brisbane barely saw a drop. This is the calm before the storm. And I mean that quite literally. Wednesday, still quiet. A handful of thunderstorms across central Queensland, but southeast Queensland stays dry. Use this day to prepare, check your gutters, clear your drains, move anything valuable away from low-lying areas. You have got roughly 36 hours before things change. Thursday, this is the transitional day. A surface trough begins developing inland and significant thunderstorm potential fires up across southwestern Queensland. We are talking about towns like Longreach, Charleville, Quilpie and Addervale seeing substantial storm development through the afternoon and evening. But here is the twist. Southeast Queensland still stays mostly dry on Thursday. The southeasterly change that everyone was expecting on Thursday evening has been delayed. It is now pushing through into Friday morning instead. That delay matters because it compresses the rainfall window. Friday, this is when everything changes for southeast Queensland. The southeasterly change arrives Friday morning and rainfall begins ramping up across the region. Through the afternoon and evening, shower and thunderstorm activity increases significantly, especially over elevated areas like the Scenic Rim and the border ranges. A low-pressure system begins forming around the Toowoomba area Friday night, and this is where the setup gets complicated. Moisture streaming in from the Pacific Ocean gets funneled into a surface trough, creating a conveyor belt of rainfall aimed directly at the southeast Queensland coast. Now, here is what I need you to understand. Friday is not even the worst day. Stay with me because the real danger day is coming, and I will get to it in just a moment. Saturday. This is the day I am most concerned about, and here is why. Remember at the beginning, I said the biggest flood risk is not from the tropical system? This is it. On Saturday, convergence zones are expected to develop across southeast Queensland. Let me explain what that means in plain language. You have got northeasterly winds pushing in from one direction and southeasterly winds pushing in from the other. Where those two airstreams collide, the air gets forced straight up. That creates intense, slow-moving bands of rainfall that can dump extraordinary amounts of water in very localised areas. These convergence zones are the most dangerous rainfall producers in southeast Queensland because they are nearly impossible to predict exactly where they will set up until the day itself. They move slowly, they dump heavily, and they cause flash flooding. Saturday is your peak danger day for flash flooding across southeast Queensland. That is the day to avoid unnecessary travel if you are in flood-prone areas. Sunday, showers and thunderstorms continue as the low-pressure system deepens. Rainfall remains persistent but begins to ease slightly compared to Saturday, Monday. Finally, the system starts pulling away from southeast Queensland. Rainfall eases through the day, and by Monday evening, the worst should be behind the region. Now, let me give you the rainfall numbers because these are significant. The Gold Coast, Murwillumbah, Lismore and Byron Bay are looking at 100 to 200 millimetres between Friday and Monday. Brisbane itself should see at least 100 millimetres over the same period. The scenic rim and border ranges could see even more, potentially exceeding 200 millimetres in the wettest spots. The Sunshine Coast, interestingly, looks like it will be on the lighter side of this event. Multiple forecast models and ensemble data are not putting the heaviest rainfall that far north. So if you are on the Sunshine Coast, you will still see rain, but nothing like what is coming for areas further south. Here is the good news in all of this. Southeast Queensland has been stuck in near drought conditions. Water tanks are low. The landscape is parched. This rainfall is the start of a 2 to 3 week wet period that the region is now entering. It will not fill every tank and it will not break the dry spell entirely, but it is a fantastic start and follow-up rainfall is expected behind this system. So if you have been watching your water levels drop week after week, relief is genuinely on the way. Inland Queensland, do not think you are missing out. Towns like Toowoomba, Roma, Chinchilla, Dalby, Rolleston and Emerald are also in line for good rainfall through the weekend, easing off on Monday. Now let us talk about the Coral Sea tropical low because I know a lot of you have been watching this one nervously. Here is the reality. On satellite imagery, this system looks impressive. It looks like it is trying to organise itself, and over the past 24 hours it has made a decent effort. But the official chance of tropical cyclone development is only 10%, and honestly, even that feels generous. Wind shear is already unfavourable and is expected to increase through Wednesday and Thursday, which will tear apart any attempts this system makes to strengthen. Think of wind shear, like trying to stack blocks while someone keeps pushing the top ones sideways. The system simply cannot build a tall, organised tower of thunderstorms when the upper atmosphere keeps ripping the tops off. The tropical low is expected to drift closer to the Queensland coastline, potentially tracking toward the Townsville region on a southwesterly course and arriving sometime this weekend. Even in the scenario where this happens, the impact is manageable. Some decent rainfall accumulations between 250 and 350 millimetres are possible, particularly along the central coast, the Whitsundays, and up toward the Capricorn coast. The wetter days from this system would be Friday through Sunday. But here is the concerning part, and do not skip past this. Far northern Queensland has already been hammered by weeks of flooding. The water levels have only just started receding. I have been watching the flood camera at Jenny Line Creek for weeks, and while the water has dropped back significantly, there is still a massive expanse of floodwater sitting across the landscape. Any additional rainfall, even moderate amounts, will make things worse up there. And beyond this current system, long-range modelling is suggesting another tropical low could develop in the Gulf of Carpentaria around the 20th of February. Northern Queensland, you are not out of the woods yet. Now let me jump down to New South Wales because there is a threat developing that has flown under the radar. Today, Tuesday, a few pulse thunderstorms are possible in the northeast of New South Wales, particularly north of Grafton around the Lismore area. Nothing severe. Instability is low and the wind profile is not favourable for organised storms. These could push over the border ranges into the scenic rim and potentially the Gold Coast hinterland, but they will not reach Brisbane, Ipswich or Logan. Thursday is the day to watch in New South Wales. A cold front sweeping through will set up conditions for potential severe thunderstorm development north of Sydney, through Newcastle, up toward Muswell Brook and then north toward Tamworth. The details are still coming into focus and I will have a much more detailed breakdown in tomorrow's update. But if you are in that corridor between the Hunter Valley and the New England region, keep your eyes on the sky Thursday afternoon. Victoria and South Australia, I've got calm news for you. And honestly, after the brutal heatwave you endured about 2 weeks ago, you probably need it. A weak ridge over the Tasman Sea is going to weaken enough to let a cold front sweep through toward Tasmania and Victoria tomorrow, Wednesday. But beyond that, a much stronger and broader high-pressure ridge develops later in the week across the Great Australian Bight, and that is going to keep things settled. Temperatures will be pleasant, high 20s to low 30s, a massive relief compared to those 40-degree days from a fortnight ago. Another cold front passage is expected later next week, but nothing dramatic. Tasmania, you will catch the edge of that cold front on Wednesday. Expect some showers and a brief cool change, then settled conditions return. Now, Western Australia. The remnants of ex-tropical cyclone Mitchell swept through overnight, and here is how it played out. The system skimmed past Carnarvon last night with wind gusts reaching around 100 kilometres per hour. For Carnarvon, that is honestly pretty manageable. They have seen stronger systems before. But here is the remarkable thing. It is not often a tropical cyclone makes it that far south along the Western Australian coast. It only happens about once every 5 years. The last system to do something similar was Tropical Cyclone Saroja, which devastated parts of the Midwest back in 2021. Geraldton picked up some good falls overnight. Areas across the northern Wheatbelt have seen 30 to 60 millimetres, with more rain still falling. The rainfall band is now pushing inland toward the goldfields, tracking between Southern Cross and Kalgoorlie. Here is what is still unfolding right now. The Wheatbelt could see some very impressive totals today and tomorrow. Towns like Coolgardie, Norseman and the area around Southern Cross and Merredin are looking at 60 to 100 millimetres. A few spots could even crack triple figures. And further south and east, Esperance might be in for 100 millimetres as well. In my experience, these areas often pick up substantially more rainfall than the models predict. So flash flooding and riverine flooding around the Esperance area is something to monitor closely throughout today. Now, Perth, I know many of you are hoping for a decent drenching from Mitchell. Unfortunately, the rainfall has largely missed the Perth metro area. 1 to 5 millimetres fell overnight, and the forecast models are not showing much more coming. That is a disappointment given the earlier hype, but that is the nature of these systems. The moisture train simply tracked too far east. And here is the bombshell I mentioned earlier about late February. Long-range modelling is showing a new tropical low likely to emerge offshore from the northern Kimberley coastline around the 20th of February. That system could become the next tropical cyclone in the Australian region. And here is what that means for you in the southwest. When tropical systems develop up north, they often drag extreme heat southward ahead of them. The models are already suggesting another run of 40-degree days for southwestern Western Australia toward the end of February. So if you thought heatwave season was over, think again. Start planning your beach trips now. Let me quickly recap the critical dates and locations you need to remember. Southeast Queensland. Friday through Monday is your rainfall window. Saturday is peak flash flood risk due to convergence zone activity. 100 to 200 millimetres expected along the coast. Coral Sea tropical low, tracking towards central Queensland coastline this weekend. Low chance of cyclone development. 250 to 350 millimetres possible near Townsville and the Whitsundays, far northern Queensland. Ongoing flood concerns with more rainfall expected. Another tropical low possible around the 20th of February in the Gulf of Carpentaria, New South Wales. Severe thunderstorm potential Thursday, Hunter Valley through New England, Western Australia. Ex-Cyclone Mitchell delivering 60 to 100 millimetres across the Wheatbelt and Goldfields today and tomorrow. Possible triple-figure totals near Esperance. New tropical low possible around the 20th of February off the Kimberley coast, with extreme heat to follow in the southwest, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania. Settled conditions with pleasant temperatures through the week. Remember, drop your location in the comments and I will cover your area in detail in the next update. And speaking of the next update, there is something developing in the long-range models for late February that could affect the entire eastern seaboard. I am not ready to reveal the details yet because the data is still coming in. But if you want to be the first to know, make sure you catch the next forecast. This one could be significant. Stay safe.